As MBA is considered to be one of the most important qualifications for various job roles, the number of MBA entrances exam takers had also been significant. Do you know that number of students who give CAT exam in India is almost similar or slightly higher to number of students giving GMAT exam all across the globe? In 2019, around 2.5 lakh registrations were there for CAT exam in India, whereas there were around 2 lakh registrations for GMAT all across the globe, out of which only 30,000 students were Indian. So why there is such a huge gap, and why am I stressing on this point? It is because GMAT gives you access to 1600 plus B schools all across the globe, whereas CAT gives you access to only 20 IIMs and around 100 and 150 non-IIMs government and private colleges in India. Right? So why do people in India prefer more about CAT, and why there is a perception like that, and what are the major differences between CAT and GMAT is what we are going to cover in this video. Hello everyone, this is Naman Jay and I welcome you back at FinCradle. Do not forget to like this video and do subscribe. To start with, GMAT, that is Graduate Management Admission Test, is being conducted by GMAT, that is Graduate Management Admission Council. And GMAT is a test of your critical thinking. You being in a position to analyze more information quickly is the best skill which you can develop to clear and score well in GMAT exam. If you're planning to apply to any sort of postgraduate program in business, be it MBA, be it MIM is Masters in Management, and GMAT is the right exam for you. You can apply to any B school across the globe after clearing or scoring good in GMAT, right? So GMAT is an exam of 800 marks which is divided into 4 subjects. First subject is verbal, second is integrated reasoning, then quantitative, then analytical writing assessment. These are the 4 subjects. I won't dive deep into the weightage and content covered in these subjects. Why? Because you'll be able to find a lot of content on YouTube or on Google itself, which will explain a lot of things. So that is not my motive. My motive is to explain the perception which students have about GMAT and CAT, right? So let's move ahead. So out of 800 score, if you are scoring anything above 700 or 710, then that is considered to be a good score. But if you are scoring above 750, that is considered to be the best score, the great score, because that is among the top 1 percentile of the students. Only 10% out of the whole lot of GMAT exam takers are able to score 700 or above. In fact, less than that, because the data varies. That is an average. Being a global exam, GMAT fees is quite high. It is around 250 US dollars. I would say you should try not to pay that fee more than once, and how you can ensure it is by giving more and more mock exams, so that you can practice a lot of mock exams before the main exam and you can score well in the first time. Otherwise, you'll be required to give GMAT exam again and it will cost you another 250 US dollars, which is of no point, right? So when can you give the GMAT exam? So GMAT exam takes place throughout the year. You can visit their official website and check for the nearby centers, dates and time slots available, right? And there are total number of 8 attempts which are allowed to any individual, that throughout the process you can give GMAT 8 times, that is maximum, and in a particular year you can give GMAT at maximum by 5 times. Let's say you give GMAT exam and you are not satisfied with your score, then what you can do is you can retake your GMAT exams at least after 16 days. From the previous exam day, after 16 days, you can book a slot and give the exam again, and that you can do for 5 times in a year and at maximum till 8 times throughout the process. But you have to make sure that you are applying or you are giving your GMAT exam and planning the dates as per the university deadlines, because different universities have different deadlines of applications for the multiple courses, and you always have to make sure that your score is ready before the date arises or the deadline arises. Now let's talk about how much difference there is between GMAT and CAT, and I'm not focusing much on the content wise difference. Preparation level of GMAT and CAT is almost similar. It takes around similar time to prepare for GMAT as for CAT, right? I've prepared both, I've studied the content, it's more or less similar. The approach is more or less similar as well, right? So our main focus is to understand why the mindset of taking more focus on CAT is there and why people are taking less GMAT in India, right? That is the main focus. So now let's talk about how much difference there is between CAT and GMAT, right? So I'm not focusing much on the content or the syllabus which is different. The main focus is to understand the mindset, as I have already told you. So first point which I feel in this is cost. To give CAT exam you pay only 2000 rupees, whereas to give the GMAT exam it takes around 250 US dollars only to give the exam, which is around 18.5 thousand rupees, right? And alongside this, students do have a perception that GMAT gives them access to universities and B schools abroad, and there the living expenses are higher, the fee of the universities is too much in comparison to Indian institutions. But that is not the case. GMAT gives you access in around 40 B schools in India, which are also very good and renowned universities. Like Indian School of Business is there, XLRI is there, MDI is there, SP Jain is there, and there are other prominent institutions as well. If you see the top 10 list of Indian B schools, then you'll find ISB there, you'll find XLRI there, you'll also find SP Jain there. And all of these are tier 1 colleges, costing approximately same as institutions after CAT. All of the IIMs do offer you admission on the basis of GMAT, but not for regular PGDM, but for 1 year executive MBA program. So IIMs is also you can target after GMAT, right? There are various other benefits of GMAT or CAT as well. For example, CAT takes place only once in a year, so you have to prepare throughout the year, wait for that one single day. Now, not performing well in exam can be dependent on a lot of different factors as well. It's not only dependent upon your preparation. There is only one day. There can be other reasons like some family emergency, some medical emergency, some things happened on the day of exam and due to stress you were not able to perform, right? But with GMAT that is not the case. You can give GMAT 5 times in a year. If you are not prepared well or you think that on a particular GMAT day you will not be able to perform, you can pay a deferral fee and you can postpone your GMAT attempt as well. But that is not the case with CAT. Apart from that, GMAT score is valid till 5 years. So if you have given GMAT in 2021, then that score will be valid for next 5 years around till 2026. But that is not the case with CAT. If you have performed well in the CAT, then you have to take admission in that particular year itself. You cannot hold that score and apply another year. Another year you will be required to give CAT exam again, score well and then apply. But with GMAT, if you are giving in 2021, you will get an opportunity to apply in 2022 as well, in 2023 as well, and till 26. That are amazing benefits which GMAT offer, which is lacking in the CAT exam. Another important difference between GMAT and CAT is that GMAT is an adaptive exam. Now, what do you mean by adaptive exam? That means the difficulty level of the next question will depend upon whether you attempted the previous question correct or not. Let me just explain you this. Let's say exam is of 800 marks, 0 to 800, this is the line, and initially you are at 400, that is at the middle point. Now, if you do the first question correctly, then the next question would be of more difficulty, let's say 450. If you do that question correctly, then another next question coming would be anotherly more difficult, around 475, 480 or 500. If you do that correctly, the next question will come that will be much more difficult, maybe 525, 550, and opposite is the case with wrong answer. If you have did the first question wrong, then your score will fall from 400 to 375, 380. That means you will face an easy question. That is how the difficulty will change depending upon whether you have attempted correct or not correct. So it is important to give initial few questions correct so that your score is above the average line and you are able to score in 700 to 800 range. These are the most important differences between CAT and GMAT. Now the most important part, why more CAT exam takers are there than more GMAT exam takers. And the points which I am going to highlight is completely my perception and this is what I believe. They can vary from my point of view, but it seems to be the same way. The first point is perception of Indian students towards work experience. In Indian society, it is always said that complete your education first and then start working, then start earning. I don't know why do people feel it that way, that if they start earning, they will not be able to continue their education later. And that is where the Indian students lag behind. Indian MBA is not considered a full-time MBA by any abroad university and they do give it a reputation of an MIM course or MIM program. Why? Because MIM does not require a mandatory work experience just like a normal MBA do in any university abroad. And Indian MBAs also do not require any mandatory work experience. Whereas to apply to any sort of or any institution or B school abroad, you need at least 2 years of work experience. That is the major difference, and students do not want to get some sort of work experience. They just want to complete their graduation and want to continue with post-graduation directly after that. That is why they are running behind CAT more in comparison to GMAT, because it will not be able to give them a complete MBA exposure outside India without work experience. So if you think about an MBA that way, then you have to make sure that you are doing it after work experience, because in my opinion, MBA without work ex is just like learning a language with a dictionary. You will never be proficient with it, right? Now, second point is people are driven by huge placement packages in India. They do fascinate about getting a 1 crore or above package from IIM Ahmedabad, from IIM Bangalore, or maybe from ISB as well. They do fascinate about it, but they do not do the ground study, right? Hardly 5 or 10 people are able to make it that way. Most of the students who are studying in IIM Ahmedabad as well are stuck between the range of 6 lakhs to 15 lakhs, and they are not highlighted, right? The only students who have made it to 75 lakhs, 1 crore, 1.5 crores are highlighted, and this is what drives you. And students in India do find a shorter route. They try to find a shorter route to become successful. They want to become successful in a shorter period of time. So do not follow this kind of shorter route, right? The individual getting a package of 1 crore or above can be an exceptional individual who already have some sort of quality work experience in the relevant field, and that is why he was able to score that way, right? MBA is such an amazing program. It offers you a lot of skills, it offers you a lot of industry exposure, it helps you make such an exceptional network. That why do you think that most of the MBAs are successful entrepreneurs? That is because they have such a strong network. If I need an individual who is expert in marketing, I'll be able to find in my college itself. If I need someone expert in HR, I'll be able to find that in my college itself, right? So that is why they are good entrepreneurs, they are good businessmen. But doing it without work experience, taking a shorter route, will really not take you long way, and you will find a lot of MBAs who did it from tier 1 college but still are struggling to find good opportunities, right? So do not be that kind of guy. You just have to make sure that you gain some sort of quality work experience in the industry you want to work later, and then do MBA finance and be successful in a longer run, right? To take this conversation further, I'm going to invite an industry expert and who is an expert trainer for GMAT, someone who taught me earlier. He's a 790 GMAT scorer, right? And he has taught a lot of students who have scored 800. A lot of students of his have scored 800 in GMAT, right? So we'll have a word with him, like how to make profile, what is an exceptional profile, what are the ways of applying, what is a good GMAT score, and all of these confusions and questions of yours will be addressed in that. Alright, so stay tuned for that. Keep on following FinRadar. Thank you.